and Concepts, where we have the privilege of learning from the immensely knowledgeable Dr. Krunal Soni sir. This event has been thoughtfully organized by the Research Foundation of India in collaboration with Shod Malwa, Parul University Gujarat, Eklavya University, JHRF, ARGA, and Edu Academic Inc. Before we begin this event, I am honored to introduce the Research Foundation of India and shed light on its mission and operations. RFI is dedicated to social upliftment, enhancing higher education quality, and promoting Indian research globally. It organizes international and national conferences, seminars, workshops, and symposiums to integrate intellectual ideas and foster innovation. Committed to scholarly inquiry and the practical application of research, RFI collaborates with top Indian universities through MOUs. Its members include distinguished faculty, researchers, and professionals across various disciplines. With more than 100
with
chapters
more
in
than
India
100.
and about 50 chapters in other Asian countries, RFI has hosted over 1,000 international conferences worldwide, contributing significantly to academic excellence and research development. Notably, RFI operates independently without any government financial sponsorship. Now, without any further delay, I am pleased to introduce our esteemed session expert for today, Dr. Krunal Soni sir. Sir is an associate professor of finance and accounting at the School of Management, GSFC University. He is having a total of 10 years of experience in academics and 2.5 years of industrial experience. His qualifications include a BB and MB in finance, a Gujarat Set in management, PhD in management, a diploma in foreign exchange and risk management, a postgraduate diploma in research and methodology, and a BCom in accounting and taxation. Sir is having a total of 26 publications in various reputable journals like Scopus, ABDC, UGC-CARE, Web of Science, etc., including a patent in Government of India. Sir has also received three Best Research Paper Awards in various international conferences. Also, Sir was a PhD guide since 2022 in Veer Narmad, South Gujarat University. We are truly honored to have Sir with us today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Just confirm the screen sharing.
Sir, it's visible.
Right. Thank you. Okay. So good evening, all of you. On the first day of this workshop, like a research paper writing, and be followed by basic various tools and techniques for the analytical point of view. So the basic purpose of doing research is we are well versed about it. Like whatever topic, subject, or things that we are teaching to our students, they should have the better understanding, right? In a sense, when I'm saying about the better understanding means they should have the clarity of thought, that what they are doing it, how they are going to do it. And most importantly, the basic purpose and the basic aspect of research, or rather I can say, the beauty of any research is to have, basic acceptance in front of the stakeholders to whom you are representing, whether it is your students, whether it is your colleagues, whether it is your boss, right? So how the acceptance things will come out in front of the others. So that is where the research paper writing plays an important role, and that is what we have to understand, that research paper should be drafted very carefully and scientifically, because we know that research is a scientific process where each and every steps have certain weightage and have some relations with the previous steps and forward step, so backward step and forward steps. So that is where the proper synchronization and proper alignments of each and every areas or segments needs to be properly executed, and that is where the researchers plays an important role, right? So who is going to initiate this research work? That makes a lot of sense, and that is where the work needs to be done in that particular direction. So how to write a research paper, it's a very important terminology, because we all are academicians, And being an academician, we must need to understand the importance of research work. And today is an era where each and everywhere the research is gaining a lot of importance. And that is where we also have to give the importance to the research work. And once we are flourishing into the research work, we are getting established into the market, whether it is from the student's perspective, whether it is from the colleague's perspective, or whether it is from the organizational perspective, right? So everywhere, the researcher carries better value, better image, and most importantly, better acceptance power among the students, right? So that is where research work is very, very important. So today, we all are gathered to discuss, the basic understanding of research paper writing. So that is where we have to discuss about how to draft a research paper. So with that note, let me start my presentation. So, when we talks about research understanding, so research always starts with, the rough idea. When I'm saying rough idea, means what? Like, being a research person, being a research person, like faculty. So when you think about that, I want to draft one research paper in that particular directions. Do I have the knowledge of that directions? Right? Do I have carry certain ideas about what is there in this particular direction? And if something is there in this particular direction, do I aware about those things? How I should draft my paper? How should I carry this particular idea generation? And if at all, if I have thought about that, this would be my probable research area, or research paper drafting area, or PhD thesis, or research grant, right? So if at all I have this probable idea, then only I would be able to see the next steps. Like if I'm clear about that, I want to draft on, let's say, online banking. So I need to see that online banking is a very broad term, right? So idea generation always starts from the broad term. But what else has happened, right, with the previous researcher, what they have done on this online banking, and how I can carry forward this online banking concept to the next level, and how should I put some value additions into the idea generation in terms of the online banking, right? So that is where I have to have, critical thoughts. I have critical evaluations of various concept, various works that has been done by the previous researcher, right? So through which I can have some value additions into this particular topic, right? So that is where research idea generations plays an important role, and that is where I have to see that how I can contribute into this particular idea and how I can have some value additions in terms of research work. So that is where the research process we need to understand. So research process always start with research idea, as I already said, because when I'm starting my journey of research, at least I should be aware about that, how to start, when to start, where to start, So this clarity at least should be there being a researcher in the minds. So that is where research always start with research idea, and the clarity of thought is always required as a part of research idea. Once the clarity of thought is there in your mind, you need to proceed for the literature review, means whatever rough idea that you have it, because we have to work on the final title generation. Research idea does not convey the title generation. Please try to understand. When I'm saying that I'm working or I'm doing for the research idea generation, so research idea generation is not confirming the research title. Please, we have to understand this. It's a rough area of research, where I have to work, I have to start the work. So that is where it is called research idea. And once research idea is there, I need to proceed for literature review, right? So that is where I need to see that various sort of literature review there is based on the past studies. So I have to go for the past studies. What else has been happened on this particular topic by previous researcher? And those literature review will help you out in so many aspects, like if I'm working on online banking, suppose, so literature review will give you an idea on many front, on many parameters, like if at all I want to go for online banking, so which factors have been evaluated, right? If the factors have been evaluated, so in which area those factors has been evaluated, right? If the online banking we are studying it, right, so overall study has happened, does the factor wise study has happened in the previously? If yes, then which sector? And if yes, then there are certain sectors which study has happened, and there would be certain sectors where the study has not been initiated, right? That is called sector wise. If it talks about geographical location wise, so in which location this kind of studies has happened. Is it happen at country level? Is it happen at state level? Is it happen at city level? If city level has happened, then you can also carry out this study with, zone wise in your cities, right? So even in zone wise has happened, then you can also carry out this particular study on this particular company premises also. So the scope of study can be, anything and everything. It should be geographical locations. It could be the variables. So anything and everything, which you can do it as a, something extra, something value addition to the topic or the research, which has already been done in the previously, right? So literature review is nothing but, what has already been done in the past, right? So what has already been done in the past. Now, you are making idea generation in the present because you want to do the research paper in present, right? And to do that, and to shape up your, the needs in terms of generating research paper, you might be undergone with literature review, which is the study that has happened in the past, right? Now you will see the difference between these two parameters: what has happened in the present, and what happens in the past, and what you are going to do in the present. That is where it comes with the difference with, what is expected by you in this present scenario in terms of whatever research journey that you are going to start, and what has happened in the past, that is the actual study which has happened in the past, right? So here you will try to bridge the gap between these two: what has already happened in actual sense and what you are expecting as a part of research paper writing. So that is where, expected and actual, right? So this is two different point, that we need to evaluate it. And based on this different point, you would be able to formulate the theoretical research problem. That is where you will try to breach, you will try to identify the gap, that, what has already happened and what I'm going to expect it. And out of these things, what is already been happened, and now what is else we can do it. Like, if you have thought 100 things in your mind, but after literature review, we came to know that 80% things has already been done in the past. So rest 20%, that is the value addition from your research work. And that is where you will, formulate the research problem, right? So this 20% is nothing but, theoretical formulation of the research problem, so that is where the value additions will come out, right? So we'll try to identify the research problem, right, wherein you will start working on this particular aspect. So that is called theoretical research problem. So we have to identify the theoretical research problem. Once the problem has been identified with certain variables, right? Once the problem has been identified with the certain variables, based on problem, there are certain things in terms of either geographical location or either in terms of the variables of the topic that you feel that I need to explore it, right? So that is where what additional things that you can provide, whether it could be from geographical location perspective, or whether it is from the identification of the new areas or new dimension of the research work, right? So that is where, based on those part, you will try to formulate various sort of research questions, which could be in the operationalization mode. That is where we have to develop the empirical research questions. So that is where we have to develop certain research questions which could actually justify the research problem. And those research problem we have already generated based on past literature review that we have done it from the previous authors, right? So that is where, the entire chain is coming out. Please remember that how to write research paper, understanding about the basic concept of research paper. So we have started with a rough idea. Still, we were not clear. Then we moved to literature review. Out of literature review, we bridged the gap between what was our expectation and what already had happened on this particular topic. We frame the problems, that is the additional things that we can provide to the society. If at all this research paper is working in a right direction and ultimately the conclusion will derive, so this will be helpful to the society in the future. So that is where research problem needs to be identified, and based on those problems, we will try to segregate all the problems in a dimension wise. So according to the dimensions, we frame the questions, and according to these questions, all the dimensions which are in the similar background will have the common questions, right? So that is where we will frame the empirical research questions. So these questions is nothing but it is a representation of the objectives of the study, the purpose of the study for which we are carrying out, right? So it reflects the operationalization, that is means the objectives of the study that we want to put up, right? So that is where empirical research questions needs to be drafted, and based on that, the objective needs to be provided. Once the objective has been generated, we have to have research design. That is where we have to provide the planning, how we are going to execute it, like in a sense that when we talks about research design, so once the objective has been framed, so almost please try to consider that your research paper or research paper writing has almost get the directions, proper directions, where you have to carry your research work, right? So you already got the proper directions in a sense that where you have to carry your entire research work. So that is where the research design plays an important role. That is where we have to provide the plannings of the research. So plannings of the research can be based on various parameters of research paper that brings our paper onto scientific mode, and most importantly into the research language, research process, wherein I can consider like a problem statement. We have already seen it. Then it should be followed by the scope of the study. So scope of the study is in a sense like, in terms of which geographical locations or the area that you will try to cover up this particular study. Then with followed by which sort of variables that you are trying to put up in the in the study, right? So that is where you have to have the proper planning and executions of this particular aspect, right? So here at the research design, you are only making planning, and executions are the rest of the steps that you can see in front of your screen, followed by data collection up to conclusions, right? So that is where research design will come into picture. Once research design has been framed, you need to plan out, how to sample needs to be collected. These samples either could be from the primary data, or either it could be from secondary data, right? So primary data usually are the first-hand data that we usually collect from the individuals, either through the survey questions, or it could be for the formal interviews or informal interviews, wherein person are free to, provide their opinion, perceptions, and thinking about any particular event, product, services, or any damn, the variables for which you are making this study, right? So that is where, primary data will come into picture. While in secondary data, when person have already experienced something in terms of either any events, any products, and wherein, the data are available from some other agencies, either in terms of collecting their performance or either in terms of collecting their experiences. And if we are using those data from other agencies, so this kind of data are called secondary data, right? So if we are using newspaper to see the opinion of the people for this particular event, so this is called secondary data. But if we go to personally to that particular person and we are asking the same questions to them from our side, and we are collecting the data, so this is called primary data. Although both are data, but the terminologies are different, and the dependency of the results out of these data are different. So when I'm saying about the primary data, so this data have been covered by me, so I know the authenticity of the data. Wherein if my research is based on secondary data, so again I need to have the authenticity based on the agencies or the organizations from which I'm taking the data, right? So that matters a lot in this particular aspect. So that part also I need to see to it that from whom I'm asking this question, right? So that is where research designs plays an important role. So objective followed by sample size. I need to check the sample size with the data collection. So sample size should be very appropriate, and with the consideration of sample size, I also need to check the sampling techniques. So sampling techniques can be bifurcated into like, it could be random sampling, it could be convenience sampling, it could be non-convenience sampling, judgmental sampling, snowball sampling, right? So depending upon the objectives, and based on these objectives, how your respondent will respond on this particular aspect. So depending on this, your sampling techniques is going to define. Yeah. So this is called research design, wherein you have to plan everything, whatever you are going to proceed as a part of your research work. So that is called research design. And then once your research design will be done, so with the collection of the objective, you will have ready your blueprint in terms of who will be your target audience, what could be your sample size, what is your sampling techniques, right? So based on that, you will start proceeding your data collection. So data collections would be started at this stage. Either it could be from primary research or either it could be from secondary research, right? If it is from primary research, it usually start with data collections through the questionnaire, and if it is secondary data, then it usually do with some agencies wherein the data are available, like in management, the financial performance of the company. So for that, the researcher needs to download those data as a part of financial performance, and they can execute those particular data as a part of performance of the company, and rest of the things they will proceed in terms of analytical point of view. So data collection is one aspect. The next aspect is we need to think about the data analysis. So once the data collection has been done, the next point that we have to see is data analysis, wherein data analysis is usually concerned with, to evaluate the data in terms of scientific parameters, like what is the results of this particular analysis. Like once I have collected the data, I need to apply various tools and techniques as a part of data analysis. So depending upon the types of data and the nature of data that every researcher has concluded, depending on that, we need to apply the various sort of analysis tools. Wherein, if I'm talking about, like, I want to check the frequency, right? So for what frequency can apply? So frequency cannot applicable for ratio data, right? It could be either apply for nominal data and ordinal data, but there is no meaning like if I'm doing frequency analysis for the ratio data, because it's a pure number, right? It's a rational number where frequency will not work out. Wherein if I'm going for descriptive statistics, so descriptive statistics can be applicable on all the data, whether it is nominal data, ordinal data, or ratio data, right? Because it gives me measures of central tendency in terms of mean, standard deviation. So for every data, it can be applicable, but most applicable and most usable things for ratio data, right? Then if I'm going for chi-square test, so chi-square test is a non-parametric version of analysis, wherein we are trying to check the association between different data. So chi-square cannot be applicable on ratio data. It always applicable on either nominal to or nominal, or ordinal to ordinal, or either nominal to ordinal and ordinal to nominal, right? So this is how the terminologies of data, utilization of data, applicability of the data, so all these parts needs to be properly understandable to the researchers, right? Because please try to understand that the readers will follow always the researchers, and even the future researcher will also follow your paper as a part of citations and references. So the content and the quality that we are providing to the society will be perceiving those qualities, right? So the more the level of quality would be increased, so the perceiving value for the society is also going to be increased, right? So that is where we need to see that everything and each of the things should be appropriately executed, and the same things should be followed, right? So that is where we have to see to it. So data analysis is very crucial part, because and that is where the role of analyst will come. And software is software. They don't have a mind. They are working on some formulas and the process. They don't have a mind. If at all any researcher is applying wrong side of data, so if it is matching with their formula, it will apply whether it could be applicable to that particular test or not. They will not think about it. Depending upon the commands which has been given to them, they will generate a results. But although this result has no market value, although this result has no applications, right? So that is where the role of researcher will come. That we should know what type of data that we have it, and what type of data that we have to collect. It's going to be decided at the stage of data collection followed by research design, and research design followed by the research empirical research question is nothing but the objective. So it always starts with how the objective has been framed, and according to the objectives that have been framed, and to prove that objectives, we need to plan out this particular system in a proper way, and followed by the data collection, and finally data analysis would be possible. So at the stage of data analysis, we need to apply all the tests in a proper and appropriate way, so that the proper results can be generated and applicable. Once the data analysis have been executed, again the role of analyst will going to be more deeper and deeper. Once the analysis has been done, so only analysis is not going to suffice the role of researchers. Again, the role of researcher is going to be more sharpened when it comes to answering the empirical research questions. Please try to understand. So you are doing, data analysis. We are doing data analysis to answer the empirical research questions, right? And which an empirical research questions? So research question that we have drafted over here. So, and what is this research question is nothing but the objectives that we have framed, and these objectives we have framed from the theoretical formulation of the problem, and those problems we have already derived from the systematic literature review. And literature review, we have done it based on our proposed idea for doing research, right? So that is where we will start answering this empirical research questions. And once we would be able to answer those empirical research questions in a scientific and research language, we would be able to provide the proper theoretical interpretations of all the results of the empirical research questions that we have defined, and it has been followed by the proper planning of each and every steps of the research in terms of data collection, sampling technique, sampling frame, who will be the target populations based on that sample size, sample elements, right? And that has been followed by data collection, data analysis, right? So we are in a positions to interpret those results, whether the data is fitting to that or not, whether the result has been generated in a proper way or not, right? So that is where theoretical interpretations of the results would be possible, right? So that is where the interpretation of the results will start. And once the interpretation of the results will start, we need to have comparisons with the earlier researcher. So earlier researcher means here we have to see this literature review, and according to that we have to try to bridge the gap, like how these things is going to be converted, like whether this researcher has the same value, means if gender and age is having impact on online banking, so does my research is also having gender and age is having significant impact on online banking, or difference of opinion, or I have something other elements of individual consumers who is making difference of opinion apart from gender and age, right? So that is where we have to have the comparison with the previous researcher, like if that particular person has executed this particular research work, right? So what was their results and what is our results, and we can have this direct comparison. And finally, with those comparisons, we would finally agree on that part, that whatever past research has happened and proven that the effect of particular variable does in our research is are also having the same impact, or the impact is something different. So that is where the point of comparisons we have to make it, right? So that is where the comparison with the early researcher. And once this comparison has been finished, I need to finally conclude, that what is the ultimate, the conclusions out of this research. So that is where I need to conclude the point. That is the conclusion part that I need to derive, right? So this is the entire cycle, of the research process that we need to follow, starting from research idea, literature review, theoretical formulations, empirical research questions, and finally we would be concluding that whatever our research work is there, and finally at this conclusion, please try to understand that these two processes will have the commonality, because we have started with this process and we have ended with this process, and between these are the various processes that we have done it, and this process has started with this. So everything is synchronized in systematic manner through which we have reached to this part. And after reaching this part, right, we have the final conclusion, we have the final judgment of the results that we have it out of the study. So here, if you feel that what we have, judgmental idea that we have started with, and this is called expected, and what actual results that we have received, and if we found this two process, and if we found any discrepancy in between, so we will not change this one, right? In no sense researcher would be in a positions to change this, because you cannot change the results, because results are results, that is the actual impact, that is the actual opinion. But what you need to change, so according to the opinion and results that you have received, you can make the changes in the research idea. That is where you can make the changes in the research title. I hope it is clear to everyone. So here at the stage of conclusion, we would be in a position to decide our final research idea, right? And many a times we are doing the reverse process, like we start doing freezing the title first in PhD, and then we are starting with the research idea. If at all you know that idea topic, then why you are doing research? But also it is a different case because it has been said that after PhD people will start doing the research. Yes, agree? Yes or no? Right. So this is
Yes,
how, right. So this is how, the entire journey of research will carry forward. Clear? Any doubt in this? Any point? Please ask me if you have any doubt.
very clear, sir.
Any query? Clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So this is a key area of research paper writing. So, it is abstract keywords, introduction, literature review, research methodology, data analysis and interpretations, findings and conclusions, and recommendation. However, the sequence can be changed, the parameters can be modified, but the purpose and the crux of the parameters will not go anywhere out of the research paper. In a short, there are certain journals which followed 70 to 80% of that criteria, and the 20% criteria have been fitted to another criteria. But in a nutshell, overall, all these criteria have been followed by all the journals, right? So that is where we have to see that the proper abstract has been followed, and all the other parameters have been properly executed. Clear? So that is where we have to make the concentrated efforts in this area of research, so that we could able to justify all the parameters. I'll give you just one hint, right? What you are writing in literature review? Well, let's start with the literature review. What you are writing literature review? Past study? Yes or no? Right. Based on past study,
Yes, sir.
we'll be able to decide the variables on which we want to write the research paper. Yes or no? If I'm doing literature review of past 100 papers, and if I'm doing my research work on consumer perception towards online banking, so am I able to decide that what are the factors that affects to the consumer perception towards online banking?
Yes,
Yes
we
or
can
no?
identify.
Yes.
Yes.
I have the variables in my hands, like I found that, ease of use, then time saving, right? So these are the few factors which I have received out of, the beneficial parameters or painful parameters, it could be either or. But I need to check in my research that whether it is beneficial or painful parameter. But you don't concern about it, whether it is beneficial or painful, but it is a variables for you, based on which you can see that, in your area, in online banking, whether this factor is beneficial or painful to the consumers. And that is where it is a scope of study. It is a problem statement that we don't know. Agreed? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Apart from
Yes.
that, if any other variables, if we feel that, that could be checked. Let's say in one paper, there are 3 variables have been checked, but we have referred 4 more research paper, and we found that there are 1 or 2 other variables which have also been checked by other authors in some other areas. So why not to check all this together? So again, this is just the research problem statement that all the paper have either checked factor 1, 2, 3, either 2, 3, 4, either 1, 2, 3, 4, but they have not checked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 together. That is one problem statement. They have checked this variable in Bhopal city of Madhya Pradesh, but they have not checked in Indore city. This is problem statement. Even if some people have checked in Indore city, but they have not checked that particular things in particular zone of Indore city in which I'm staying. If it has been checked in zone, they have not checked in sector wise the people perception. That could be my problem statement. If sector wise checked, then they have not checked according to the generation wise. This is a problem statement. If generation wise has been checked, the stream wise or the area wise specialization people, they have not checked, you can check. And I hope I'm making sense. That is why, that is why the research is considered to be the funnel process. I have started like, in Bhopal city, Indore city, right? Indore city, zone wise, area wise, generation wise, sector wise. You reduce your sectors. You reduce your area of study, and finally you will reach at this sector, wherein you will have to have the focused approach of research based on which you can conclude and finally report to the market. Because if your research paper is out in the market, not all the sector people will be interested for other sector people perception, but they are interested for their own sectors, right? If you are a faculty, and if I'm giving one, consumer employee satisfaction in automobile sector, are you interested? See the interest level, right? But if you're a faculty and if you're conducting the research that employee satisfaction among students and faculty, are you interested? Obviously, because it affect to your area of study. And that is why every researcher also needs to decide who will be your target audience for study, and those target audience would be the target readers in the future as well, right? So if my factors has been decided, so based on that I can frame my introduction chapter, right? Many times people are thinking, that what should be the part of my introduction chapter. So introduction consists nothing but the variables that we have defined from the literature review and the scope that we have defined from the literature review. So whatever variable and scope that you have defined, you just have subcategories of that particular variables, and you can draft, the theoretical perspective in the introduction chapter. Is it clear? I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
For an example, if I'm doing research on consumer perception towards, online banking, with special reference to Indore city. So in my title, there are three main variables. First is consumer perception, second is online banking, and third is Indore city. So my entire theory will be depend upon these three variables, right? So at everywhere I should talk about these three variables, either or, not all at the moment, right? But either or, I need to talk about this. So my entire introduction chapter should focus on these parameters, right? And once it is decided with the literature review, you have already identified your gap. So based on gap, you will be able to follow your objectives followed by hypothesis followed by questionnaire or data collection. Based on that data collection, you will have your data analysis. Once data analysis has been done, so that is where data analysis and interpretations, right? So if your methodology is clear based on systematic literature review, you would be able to manage your analysis and interpretation portion properly. And once your analysis and interpretation would be over, you would be able to decide the final findings and conclusions of this particular topic, right? So that is where you would be in a position to define your findings and conclusions of this particular area of topic. And once the findings and conclusions are going to be over, you will be finally report to the market, wherein you will be able to provide the recommendations out of the study, right? But that means what this study is all about, how the people are getting benefit out of this study, how you recommend this particular study to the people, right? So that is when recommendation of the study is going to play an important role. Yeah. So this is where the key area of research is coming. And here you have one terminology which is called keywords. What is this keywords? So keywords are nothing but the variables, that you are identifying from the literature, and those variables based on which you are drafting entire theory in their introduction. And the same variables we have to draft over here, that is keywords. So keywords define the title and the purpose of the particular paper that you are going to draft. Fine enough? Yeah. Okay. So research design can be quantified into qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative means all the things which is in perception, behavior, opinion, interviews. And quantitative means it could be checked and measured in terms of number. Either it is, survey, questionnaire. So you also have to measure in terms of numbers, wherein the entire analysis will go into numbers, right? So the detailed bifurcation is coming. Nomothetic means instead of having multiple variables of quantitative, you're only checking one or two variables at a point of time. So that is called nomothetic research design. And same with the ideographic. Instead of studying entire, organization, you will try to pick up one particular individual variable or person, and you are trying to get the opinion from that particular person and people. So that is where it is a subcategory of qualitative, that is ideographic research design. But usually, qualitative and quantitative study is the most widely term used in research, right? So That is where we have to see the difference between what is qualitative research and what is quantitative research. So usually you can see this first image wherein you have the individual in a different position and postures. So by looking at the different postures and positions, you can see this situation wherein people have different perception. Like if somebody is asking what this person is thinking about, so every person and every perspective is different, right? And if I ask to multiple people at the same point of time, so even different people have different perception, opinion on this particular image, although the image is same. And that is where the opinion and perceptions can be defined in different words, and in subjective manner. Clear? Wherein quantitative research usually deals in numbers, logics, and objectives. Wherein if I'll ask someone that what is the meaning of this particular things, what is this? So everybody has the same answer. What is it? If I'm asking what is this, then what should be your answer?
93.
We say number 93.
93, right? So it is a pure number. It works on logic, right? We learn it like the place value of every number, like where the 3 digit is on one's place, 9 is on 10th place. So wherein it is called 93. Clear? So where it is logics, numbers. So quantitative research is more logical, more authentic in comparison to the quality research, right? So that is where people are more perceived, more believing on the quantitative research in comparison to the qualitative research, because usually the qualitative research is called second hand research, where already one researcher has worked out and we are just critically evaluating, giving our opinion on that particular research, right? So that is where the point of difference is coming as a part of qualitative and quantitative research. Okay. Then what is qualitative research? So it is, research used in range of activities, varying from exploratory to completing explanation, where you have to explore it, you have to find out the variables, and the same variables you have to explore, explain in a manner. It could be as per your understanding. So it always aims for having meaningful actions or experiences that can be interpreted, right? So every person will try to interpret every situation as per his or her experiences, and they will try to interpret in a best possible manner they have it. Either, although it is a different matter that, my best level would be, very ease of level for others, or even my level would be very high in comparison to the others' best level. So there is a contradiction about the level and perception of the different people, but wherein the qualitative research always works on the meaningful actions or experiences of the person. And we cannot be quantified like, how much effective is that, how much efficient is that, wherein you have to come for qualitative research. So if the same thing, perception, opinion, if you want to check, in terms of quantitative research, you have to come with the quantitative research, wherein it can be converted into numbers. But while talking about qualitative research, so it is more economical, wherein you don't have to have any monetary involvement to collect data. You just go through the website, see the articles, journals, and you just see this different people have worked on the same direction, and you can have the critical evaluations of this particular aspect. Then flexibility, we have to check that, flexible. So this process is very flexible in a sense that, we would get the maximum benefit out of this, because the data availability is very easily, and whatever you drafted, what as per your understanding would be correct, right? Though there is no challenging point wherein people will challenge on any technical aspect of analytical point of view. And qualitative research is always having an open door, why and how. So if at all anything and everything that you could bring out into research, so the other person will always try to evaluate, critically evaluate why it is happening and how it is happening. Richness of data, so you have ample amount of data in your hands to quantify and to have a analytical point of view. So that is where the richness of data is very high. And if at all you are the first person or you are the beginner of the research, so qualitative research is always best to start with. So you can always start your journey, and it is always better to start your evaluation perspective. So quantitative research, if you tell, then it is a survey based, where primary data usually covered from the survey, right? So this survey can be converted into different methods, layouts, wherein you can go for telephonic survey. You can go to personally, and you can ask for the responses. You can mail them the Google form link, and you can also ask for the responses. So these are the different ways, but nowadays it is very general and very common. Like, you put your survey form through the question, with the questionnaire through the WhatsApp, and people will access this particular questionnaire. So that is where the comparison will come. Like, what is the difference between qualitative and quantitative research? So the main difference is it is usually discovery oriented idea generation, and to get the insight of any articles or any opinion or any study or related to perception, or anything that you feel it like what is there in that. So if you want to critically evaluate this particular aspect, so qualitative research is always good to start with, wherein quantitative is not working what you feel it, but quantitative research always works on what exactly it is. That is where the validation of facts, numbers, digits, estimates, and finally, quantitative research will try to establish the relationship between different variables, right? So quantitative research always work on establishing relation between different variables, right? So here you have to establish the relations between different variables, right? So basically, qualitative research is exploratory, while quantitative research is descriptive and causal, right? So it describes the variables in terms of numbers, values, and at the same time, it tries to establish the relation between, cause and effect relations, we learn correlation regression, wherein we try to establish, why it is happening, where, how it is happening, right? So y is equal to alpha plus beta x1. So wherein we are trying to describe that, why it is happening, where it is happening. Types of question in qualitative usually open-ended, semi-structured, and structured, while in quantitative it is mostly structured because we have to deal with number, and numbers should be always in logical sense, and logical sense always comes with the systematic way, and systematic way always comes when the things are properly deputed for the evaluation purpose, right? So that is where the systematic approach needs to be executed, right? Then so classification of research design, right? Classification of research design, in a sense, you have to go with exploratory research design, and exploratory research design means you have to explore the research criteria for the first time, wherein conclusive research design, under which you have two parameters, one is describing and another one is causal. Causal we have already explained, so I'll not go into detail, but yes, descriptive in a cross-sectional and longitudinal. So cross-sectional means when you are going for primary research for data collection through questionnaire or survey, right? So you're asking, the questions related to the topic on which you are doing research. And at the same time, the multiple people, like, you are asking these questions to Indore, Bhopal, Jabalpur, right? So you targeting those people in limited time frame, like, I have decided that I have to collect 500 responses from Indore, Bhopal, and Jabalpur. So I will collect this in 2 months, right? So within 2 months, I will try to cover up this common questions data from different cities. Although the variables are common, objectives are common, but I want to collect from different peoples at the same time. That is 2 months time frame. So that is called descriptive cross-sectional, right? Because I want to take the opinion of these people. For that, I'm collecting those data from the different sections, different parameters, different areas of the locations. While in longitudinal research design, I want to check the pre and post effect of the result, because let's say if I have collected data today about, the performance of the sports person before going to training program in the long jump, right? Once the training has been concluded, now I want to check the impact of training program on the sports person for their long jump competition. So one analysis and one data collection, I have done it before the time frame of training program, and another one I have done it for after training program. Although the variable is common, the audience is common, wherein cross sectional the audience was different. One is from Indore, one is from Bhopal, one is from what is Jabalpur, right? While in longitudinal, if I'm taking the sports person, jump size, so either they could be from Indore or it could be from Bhopal, or it could be from Jabalpur, but they are from the single location, right? Or location could be either anything, either it could be city wise, either it could be state wise, right? But the variable and the target audience would also common. Like, before that, I had asked to person X, Y, and Z, and after that also I have asked person X, Y, and Z, and I had the comparison between their performance before training program and after training program. So that is called longitudinal research design, right? So I'm describing the effect of training program on the performance of sports person on their long jump size, right? So that is where I can differentiate this particular aspect. So if I need to define the research design mechanism, so this is how it is: statement of problem, past studies, scope of the study in a sense, the area or the variable location that we are going to study out of this, then objectives of the studies, scope of the studies we have discussed, hypothesis. So hypothesis is a sub formation of objectives, and it could always be defined based on what objectives that we have framed. Significance of the study means societal importance of any particular studies. Geographical areas to be covered, right? If at all I'm conducting this study, right? So which area I'm targeting? Methodology, sampling plan, in a sense, like, sample size, sample frame, all these things I need to cover up. Tools for gathering data, how I'm gathering the data, like, primary study. So in primary study, which tool I'm using it? I'm using survey, I'm using what I'm using it. And finally, it could be concluded with chapterization schemes, right? So which chapters will come first, which chapter will come second, so that the synchronization process could be established, right? So we have next step DP, wherein we focused upon the step-by-step guidance for writing a research paper, which start from 1st of August. So wherein we will try guide you, how the different chapters needs to be drafted and how they have alignment with different parameters, right? So that is where we'll have a detailed discussion at this point of time, right? So statement of problem is always asked with what, when, why, and how, right? So once your research literature review is done, and once you try to have the measurement with your expectations, you'll always get your statement of problem, that is research gap. Based on a gap, you need to decide how you will fulfill this gap with the scope of study, either through the variables or from the locational point of view. Objectives based on problems and scope, you need to define the objective wherein you will try to fulfill to achieve those gaps with the limited scope that you are trying to put in your particular study. So that is where, with the consideration of problem statement and scope of study, you need to draft objectives, so that once your objective has been drafted based on problem statement and scope of study, you would be able to define your hypothesis, because hypothesis is nothing but the assumption of statement, the hypothetical statement for the objective that you are trying to do, the purpose for which you are drafting this particular research work. So that is where hypothesis plays an important role. And hypothesis is usually framed in two types: null and alternative, wherein acceptance of null hypothesis is possible when your probability value will come 0.05 level of significance, wherein alternative hypothesis got accepted when your p-value is less than 0.05 level of significance. Significance of the study, that how the society will get benefit out of this study, in terms of different stakeholders also you can bifurcate, and we always start significance from the general contribution to the society as a whole, right? So at every level we need to decide who is going to be beneficial out of this. Geographical areas, human geography, physical geography, location. Human means category of the people, regional means based on religions and all this, or regions. Integrated means different locality, where sub people, sub communities are there, right? So that is very integrated. Sampling plan in terms of sample size, sampling techniques, sample size, sampling techniques, sampling parameters, So the sampling frame, that is where you need to plan out how the sample needs to be collected with different parameters. Tools for gathering data, you can go for online interviews, you can have a face-to-face interview, you can have emails to them. You can also get the data from via on the phone also. And types of data we have already discussed, like, it's a nominal data. So nominal data are those data wherein, it cannot rank with the categories, like, if I have a gender, so in gender I can put male to be first and female to be first, but in none of the case nobody can object why you put male first and female second, or female first and male second, right? So there is no numerical sense to put the ranks of the categories, right? So that is called nominal data, wherein the data are in category but sequence does not matters for those data. Those data are called nominal data. Wherein ordinal, already the categories are there. So categories is a common characteristics between nominal and ordinal. But the difference point of nominal and ordinal scale data is, where in nominal, the sequence of the category does not matters, while in ordinal, the sequence of the category does matters, right? And ratio data is purely a number data, which already used in finance or wherever you are getting the data from any agencies in terms of performance, financial performance, and all sort of things. So that is where it is types of data. So variables, independent and dependent variables. So independent variables are those variables which are independent in the nature, which cannot be affected by other variables. While independent variable are the variables which are affected by independent variables, right? So that is where dependent and independent. And the best model to prove this variable is regression. Y is equal to alpha plus beta x1, beta 2 x2, and so on. Categorical variable and continuous variable. So categorical variable are all the questions we are asking in nominal and ordinal scale, wherein continuous is the ratio scale data, which is in number, and quantitative and qualitative variables, we are well versed about it, so I'm not discussing now. Data analysis tools and techniques. So frequency, we have already discussed. Descriptive in terms of mean, median, and mode. Chi-square association, again, to check the impact. We have parametric and non-parametric test, depend upon the behavior of the data after checking the normality. If the data turns to be normal, we need to go for parametric test in terms of t-test, ANOVA test. And if the data does not turns to be normality, then we cannot go for parametric, wherein we need to transfer to non-parametric versions of data. And these are Mann-Whitney U test, Kruskal-Wallis test, and all this. Apart from that, if you want to explore the factors for the first time, we can go for exploratory factor analysis. And once the factor has been explored, and if we want to confirm those factors, we can go for confirmatory factor analysis as well, right? So these are the data analysis tools, and followed by findings and conclusions. So every study should have some findings. That is called the concluding remarks of the researcher, where researcher will give his critical evaluation for the entire study that he has executed from rough idea generation till the data analysis and interpretation, right? So that is where finding and conclusion is the summary of the entire study that has been executed by the researcher with the proper result evaluation. And recommendations, right? So it should be related with the aims, objectives, it should summarize the informations to the stakeholders. And most importantly, it should highlight the importance of this particular work, which can be beneficial to the society as a whole if any particular person is going to refer this particular study. So thank you so much from my side. I'm making this session open for question answer. If you have any questions, anything to share related to your topic, your area of research, so I'm open to answer, please. Yeah, any questions?
So can you just go back to the slide, significance? Significance of the study. Just 1 second. Before this.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, 1 second. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Sir,
Any suggestions? Any topic to share? Any problems that you are facing in your study?
Sir.
Yes, please.
Sir.
Please, sir. Please.
Yes, I kindly request you to present.
Your voice is breaking, sir. Can you repeat? Can you repeat? Can you repeat?
Yes, sir. Can you please present me the slide from first to the end, sir, please? One, sir, last, please.
Which topic you want
please
to see?
Present the slide, sir.
I'm not getting
all
it.
slides, sir, please, from just.
Sir, voice
you
is,
have presented
voice is
the
breaking.
PPT, right, sir?
Which slide you want? Can you type in chat box?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Right. Yes, sir. Any other questions?
I have one question.
Please.
Can we add AI in our title or in our research?
Obviously, you can add AI, right? Please try to understand the difference between adding and using. Adding means you can take the help of it. Using means what AI is giving, you are using it. Right? So you cannot do that. Okay. Otherwise, you will be caught, as a plagiarism point of view. So you can take the help of AI, but you cannot, depend on AI.
No, I want to add a topic, how AI change in our field or how AI help us. Just like that, not using AI for all research, But
So you can have different segments, how the AI is helping to people. So you should find out the various segments, right? And on that segments, you can ask the people what is their opinion on this aspect. So that would be the variables and factors for you.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, any other questions?
Thank you, sir. Your explanation was in detail and it's very useful for us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for comment, madam.
Sir, it
Thank you.
was really wonderful, wonderful, sir, and it was really helpful. Can you please share us the PPT, sir?
Right, definitely. Right. Okay.
Sure, sir. Please. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Any other questions, suggestions?
Is there any platform so that we can connect you and ask any question if we require?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sharing my email ID and contact number. So if at all, if you have any queries or suggestion afterwards, you can take it from chat box.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, actually, I am from science background, and our research methodologies are different. So, how this topic will be relevant to that?
You are from science, so basically in science, you have cause and effect relation, if I'm not wrong. Just like in chemical, if somebody is going, so they are trying different measurement to modify the things and proceed with that. Right. So, how in different evaluation pattern. I have shared my number and email ID, right? So those who have any queries afterwards, you can reach out to me, or you can post your things to email, right? I have posted in the chat box. Okay, yeah.
Hello,
So
sir. Good evening.
background, right? For your science background,
Yes, sir.
it depends upon the data. Usually you have a secondary data, right? So for you need to go for secondary data evaluation, because in your science you don't have to go for questionnaire or something.
Yes, yes.
Right. But whatever things you are doing it, like, if I have tried and tested, so what is a decimal for this? Then if I'm doing like this, and what is a decimal for this? So out of this try and test, you have the results. So usually in your case, all the regression model and secondary data evaluation would be applicable, wherein you have no personal opinion and individual things will be involved. Until and unless if you are going for the marketability and commercial perspective of the technical products, then it will be, you can take the opinion of the people as a part of primary study. Otherwise, from technical point of view, your study would be secondary data.
Okay, secondary means it is coming from the journals and the books and other sources of internet, like that secondary data. So,
Uh, you need to go for scope of the journal. Like if you go to Schemago website, you will have ample amount of journal who is focusing upon only sciences. And again, in sciences, that doesn't mean that they will accept all the science topics, right? But you need to go to every journal homepage, and even you can download the database of this Schemago, and you can find out that which database. So you can just have a control F on the Excel file, and you will drag to those journal which focus upon your area of study. So it would be easy for you. Within half an hour, you will be able to decide which journal is accepting your paper, or else who have a scope of accepting your paper, depending on
uh,
your target area of study.
which one, sir? Which website you told that? One?
I'm drafting in chat box. You can take it. Schemago website.
Schemago.
You can take it from the chat box.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Any other query? Yeah, Shruti madam, you have a query.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm a research scholar. I just wanted to ask regarding what all points can be added if I'm doing a paper, like a conceptual paper, sir.
Conceptual paper, you can have a critical evaluation, bibliometrics analysis of the literatures, and if you are doing conceptual papers, so you should always, have the evaluation based on methodology, sampling techniques, data collections, sample size with the variables, and finally, how these findings and conclusions. Because out of that, you will able to decide that, how much majority of the paper have done on that particular variable, right? So out of that, you will get it most important variables, according to the market researchers, which have a major impact on their research.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
But if you want to go for softwareized, you should go for bibliometrics analysis, wherein you have detailed evaluation of who is the different authors, who is working on this, which variables are working on it. Even you have the identification of keywords also, you know. So I have that material also. If you want, I will share with you. You can drop me a message with my contact number. You will have that material also if you are going for qualitative data in terms of critical evaluation, right? Review based research.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
So I think any other questions, please, or shall we wind up? Oh, okay.
So,
Yes, please,
so
madam.
when we take secondary data and go for any presentation, general presentation. So in that already the data is collected. So there also, do we look for the research gap and speak, or how do we go ahead with that, sir?
Research gap is for every data, whether it is primary or secondary, it is irrespective matter. But in secondary data, one thing we need to take a decision, like, data are in a very large number. So wherein we cannot show or demonstrate all the data. So we need to have a summarization of those data, either in terms of mean, semi-measures of central tendencies, rank, minimum, maximum value, So this is how we can have the summary of the data. But yeah, research gap can be applicable to anywhere, Without research gap, how can we proceed for the research? Because based on that, if your objective will not decide, you will not clear about the variables. And if variables are not decided, then you are not in a position to cover the right kind of data for this research.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I am a research scholar and I am new to this field. I have seen in many seminar and conferences that they asked for abstract, and when abstract will selected, they will ask for the full length paper. So how can we write a good abstract without having a full length paper?
Go for systematic literature review. Simple.
Okay.
If you have a literature, you have a clarity what you need to do. Even they are asking abstract, and if your abstract got accepted, so they are not forcing you to keep this abstract as it is, but they just wanted to see the clarity of the things that you are going to proceed on this paper. For that, literature review is the best solution to do that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So
Are
thank
there
you.
any more questions?
Yeah, madam. Yes, please. Any questions, or shall we wind up?
So, shall we wind up then?
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Sure, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.
On
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I hope you like the session and it will be useful to you. Tomorrow would
Yes,
be
sir.
more
Very.
important. Yeah, tomorrow would be more
Yes.
important session. What we have discussed today, I will show you the live demonstration how we can utilize different tools and techniques for analysis purpose.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, Asmi madam, you can proceed for the closing ceremony.
Yes, sir. A heartfelt thank you to sir for such a knowledgeable and useful session. So it was truly enriching. I would also like to express my gratitude to all the participants for the active participation. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Good night, all of you.
Sir, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Good night, sir.
Good night, sir. Good night, sir. Thank you so much.